Okay, so thank you so much for coming to this Center for Indic Studies seminar series. We have had kind of a long gap. The last speaker was in August, and the primary reason was that we had a big on-campus event, which was very well attended by students. So now we are back to the online mode, and today we will discuss a topic which has been of interest to many, and that is the dialogue between science and religion or science and spirituality. And we know that some people believe that there is no reason for a dialogue because their jurisdictions are completely different. But many of us also feel that even if the way they approach reality or truth is different, and the fact that they are both trying to get to truth is a common feature, and therefore there should be a dialogue. But one kind of area that is overlapping to both science and religion is cosmology. When did the universe begin, if at all begin can be used as a verb? Scientists have their time scale, but what is time? What is space? Are they the products of creation? What was the situation before the Big Bang, if Big Bang is considered to be the major theory? So what before then? So these kinds of questions are, they seem to nag us all the time. And today we have no better person to speak on it because Pratibha Gramann, Dr. Pratibha Gramann, she has expertise in psychology and Sankhya philosophy, and so she will give her thoughts. We will have about 45 minutes of uninterrupted Pratibhaji's lecture, during which I would request all of you to please mute yourselves. And then there will be ample time for Q&A. This is being recorded. And as is our custom, in a couple of days, we will then upload this recording on our YouTube channel. So Shamant, could you please put Pratibhaji on spotlight?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you.
Pratibhaji, please take over.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to start right away with the point that you made about was there anything before creation, or what was that like? I didn't exactly plan to start there, but you could start anywhere. I mean, those are the three topics I'm going to put together as I see it. We have to study all three topics of anything first, and then we can get some ideas, or maybe people will call it craziness, but the things that we can think about, that science as it's seen, and spirituality, and also psychology have the same basics, the basic substratum, that I'm going to call it, the same core. This core is the energetics, if you don't mind my using this name or this word, the energetics of the cosmos that are also known as light, kinetics, and darkness. I have to go back a little bit. The substratum itself is, this is the basics of physics. I think you will all agree that the basics of physics are like the daylight, right? And light in general, all kinds of action, kinetics, and the third is is darkness, which is the opposite of light. But I'm saying beyond that, or behind that, is a substratum that is very well known in the scriptures of actually many old scriptures, not only India. There is a light, which is also has the name in the Indian scriptures of sattva, And there is the opposite, which is called tamasic. And this is or tamoguna. They're called the gunas. Now the tamoguna, you can think of actually a mountain, or you can think of anything that is very stationary and is resistant. And each of these three, the third one, sorry, is the middle, you can say, is between the sattva and between the tamasic, and that is the rajasic. The rajasic means activity. So that's the main point I want to make, is that these three right here are they're the same, but there is a difference too. The sattva light is like the light referred to as in physics, and the kinetics is the same as the action that is referred to all kinds of actions, rajasic. And then on the other end, the tamasic energies, the energetics are the same as in physics, known as darkness and dullness. These are described as having the same qualities, the same characteristics. But I do want to make the point right at the beginning here that I am not suggesting, this is a point to ponder though, that they are in the cosmos the same way. I am suggesting that the gunas and not having at certain stage, there is no creation about it. They vibrate within themselves when there is no creation. They in fact gave rise to what we think of as in physics as the light, as the kinetics, and as the darkness. So it's a large topic, and before that I said, what exists before? Okay, before the energetics of sattva, rajas, and tamas produce the creation, they still existed in the cosmos, but when they were not active in creating, they existed as three non-interacting entities. Like you can imagine, if you want to say it this way, there's a spin in a way within itself, the vibration moving within sattva, right? But it is not connecting with the other two. And so the same is happening with the others. The rajasic is spinning within its own self, but there's no interaction, therefore, so there is no creation, and the same with the tamasic. And the Big Bang in this instance is considered to be when these started to create. This is considered the Big Bang, okay? By some people, you can entertain this idea that then it all happened also, as I'm referring to really as my study and reading in scriptures is very old. It all happened actually at one time. I mean, it happened in a sequence, but it still, it all followed each other. So what was before then the three gunas? They existed, but within not creating. Now, what made them start? Well, this is not actually an answerable, except that there's one other principle. Well, there are many principles of the cosmos, but I'm only talking about these two today, which are considered to be at core very much. What I'm talking about here is the prakriti, or the there are other words given to it, nature, right? These three gunas are that which creates all that we are in the materiality of the world as nature. And there's one other, that what makes them start, or what makes them move from their independence into creation, is the illumination coming from the principle of consciousness, right? Consciousness has the Sanskrit name of Purusha meaning Lord of the house. So you can say in a way the grace, the shine, the illumination of, because this principle is considered to be life itself, came upon, shined upon in the materiality, and the creation began. It's something really, a lot of dimensions come in and you have to reflect upon it. But that is the basics of which I'm making these other premises. And those premises are that we all know about science and its independence, that it is not related. It's an opposite of spirituality, and they can't come together. And the same in the way of psychology. It's not scientific, people say, okay. But if you see some kind of core, how they come together, this is the premise that I'm making today. I'm going to start to do a little reading about it, because I'm just going to begin with how the three gunas themselves can be described. Or maybe I'm going to start with the Sankhya, because the Sankhya philosophy is really describes just how I have right here in a minute. I did very much about creation in this way. I personally see that Sankhya is, to me, the first. It is description of the first part of creation. After creation occurred, I think that Sankhya really has the description of how it was, right? And it came later that other philosophies evolved, and they have their validity also. But it is good for us to consider this, is that at this time, like I described, there were the three gunas, right? There was no person, right? So creation didn't in this way come about because there was some intelligent being overriding. However, there is intelligence in each of these three gunas, right? So you can say there's a cosmic intelligence working that is different, however, than a person, because actually this system, as described the very beginning of creation, had no persons. There were no persons evolved at this time. It's atheistic, you can say. It's atheistic because it is not person dominated, right? And so this is a question that many people, want to think about, is how did it all occur? So not having a person directing even the three gunas, you can't say that consciousness directed them. They just operate because they operate. They actually, though, it is seen that they operate due to, it sounds so ordinary, but it is in a way a magnetic way. So you have sattva, which is full of light and fullness and upliftment and all the qualities that give pleasantness to life. They help creativity, they help harmony. And then you have the opposite, right? You have the dullness, the darkness, the stationary that doesn't move, the restrictiveness, and the resistance, which is the opposite, right? But unless there is some action that goes between, nothing happens. So the middle, in the middle, there is the rajasic, and what does it do? It pulls from the sattva to the tamasic, And it also pulls from the tamasic to the sattva. And that is its action all the time. And this action of pulling back and forth and moving, the rajasic, is really the basis of life. And it is said that it's like the rajasic is trying to make a harmony, or not harmony, but a equilibrium, so that it actually stops again, right? But within creation and in our earth, as we live our whole cosmic, and we have that, it never stops. So there is never an equilibrium that occurs. Maybe I don't want to use exactly the word equilibrium, but I can use, you can, yes. Okay, equilibrium. In other words, there is no stopping, because the way it works is that there is always one more of one of the gunas operative, and the other two are supported. First, I should say, when it stops, then that is what I have described earlier as what is known as pradhan, and there is no creation. So within the creation, the rajasic and the all three always work together, and they work together, as I have studied, in several ways, in complicated ways. So, but natural ways, not exactly the word I want to say here is, there's always a predominance of one of these and the other two support, but they are always operative together. I want to right away put it together also in a way with the premise this way. In the physics, is it that way? Does science see it this way? In the way of light? Well, we have light in the daytime, don't we? And then later in the day, we have darkness, night. Well, doesn't it move gradually? It doesn't bounce from one to the other, but gradually the day becomes brighter. And this is the movement of rajasic, or action, or kinetics. And then it moves to the darkness, right? And gradually again, after darkness, it gets to the pit of darkness, it starts to go towards the light again, right? So the same principle is working. It's the rajasic action of slow motion, middle motion, or a fast motion, however it works. It's pulling from the dark to the light. Then again, it's going from the light to the dark. So this is how I'm making that premise. And I guess I'm giving the conclusion at the beginning here. The same in the way in your own mind, I'm calling it psychology. I mean, that's the word we use. Psychology is everything that is defined as what works in our mind, right? What is active. So you have a particular feeling, let's just say daytime. In the morning, let's say you're feeling, you might feel bad or you might feel good. Let's suppose you get up and you feel bright and nice. You had a good, peaceful kind of sleep. And then as the day goes on, it changes a little bit every minute, or even less than a minute, in a minute way, which we can say is microscopic. Microscopic, as described, as we say that use the words atoms and molecules, right? So these also change. They are actually what change, and then we are the phenomena in the world occurs. So it changes gradually all the time. So there's a large amount of light that comes, let's say, at one time of the day, but the next second, or this science refers to even amount of time that is lesser than a second. It's minute. So it moves then towards the darker. But then you have the darker in the fullness, you have the night. And I pretty sure science sees things this way, but I'm interested in our conversation later. So it changes again. So this is actually, this is our life. This is our life. I mean, our psychology is what I was making the point of. You feel wonderful. You change a little bit, right? You still might feel wonderful all day sometimes, but there's a difference, even from a feeling or even a thought. Let's just take any thought that you have. You might have some work that you think is, really difficult, right? But then as you get into it, every moment there's a little bit of difference in how you think, right? um, and it's like, if it's so subtle you hardly feel there's any difference, you have the same intention in your mind or idea in your mind. But if you really look at it closely, after a certain period of time, you see that there are differences. Any kind of thought, or you can look out. Let's say you're smelling your lunch, okay, but in degree, you're going to smell a little bit, and then you smell a little bit more, and then a little bit different, and the same as in flavor. So here I am also coming into, what are the first manifestations of the three gunas? What are they? It is said that these are, before there is the oceans and the bases we think of as our Earth, or the whole galaxy as a cosmos, how it was created. We just happen to be on the Earth, right? So there were elements. They are known as the 5 great elements, the 5 basic elements, and they can be described in several different ways. So, and we can just start with space. So space, you can imagine around us, right? But there is also space within each of the atoms that we are made up of. There is space in our head. There's space in the arms. There's space, and I think that's kind of logical or reasonable to understand here. The second one is, okay, so we started with space, then air. What is it that occupies the air? I mean, what is it that occupies the space? First, it is air, right? So to see, we feel the air, whether it's cool or warm, whether it's clean or not clean. And this is another essential that's in all of nature, and it's in the human. So how much this is measured within science, it must be also measured, I'm sure. And because you can tell I'm not the scientist, not in the lab in the science at all. The third thing, then we have the temperature, right? So it is referred to also as we have the space, we have the air, and then we say the fire. So fire, you think you right away of a fire in the fireplace, or you strike a match or whatever. But the qualities that come from that are warmth, temperature, or coldness. So there's a big fire or a little fire, and fire is something we have to be careful of. I mean, it can be an explosion that can be very destructive. On the other hand, we have to have the temperature right within our system, which consists of the mostly the enzymes are considered as heating, that heat the body, digest the food, and so on. And we experience it in the air when we walk, whether it's warm or whether it's cold. And the seasons are significant for all of this. So then after the fire, we can say there is the water, right? Water. Moisture exists in a lesser amount or a greater amount, and it has its own effect, right? A cool splash of water feels good. Hot water will, too much hot water will not be pleasant at all. So these characteristics that we refer to in our mind are also physically experiential. So the subtle and the grosser go together. There's one more element, and it refers to the quality of solidity. So all these others have a certain amount of solidity, or we can experience them. But Earth is also considered as an element because it has solidity. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have solidity in our form, right? Or nothing would be actual. It would just be too much subtlety. I mean, only subtlety, right? So we are both. We have the subtle and we have the solidity, right? So in nature, we can more easily see solidity in the plants or in a tree, in a rock, in a mountain. And solidity is more related to the tamasic because it has form. It has exactly what it says. It has a solidity, right? And so a lot of things that go with the tamasic go with things that have strong form. Well, we're speaking about everything in nature, not only the human, but if we see that it's both there. So I'm just suggesting there's a big hill, and this hill doesn't move very easily, right? Taking a different element like fire or temperature, it moves quickly, but a big hill or a mountain or something like that doesn't. It has a stronger solidity. So the same is true within the human form. And none of us are exactly the same combination. We're all a unique combination of these elements. So these elements coming together are what we are in the material way. But remember, I talked earlier about the other a main tattva or principle of the cosmos, right? One is the materiality, and the second one is the consciousness. So, this really is the easiest way to understand this one is what is the difference in a live body, a live creature, and a dead creature, right? What is the difference? Those elements have come out and they have been pulled out in a way. This is a talk of its own of how this happens, but the consciousness, which is considered as the life force itself, has come out of the body, right? It has come out of the tree. It has come out of anything that is now, we say, dead, right? So this consciousness is the key thing that gives the life. Our talk here, though, is how we keep the show the relationship between the three things: the psychology, how it works in us, the scientific principles, and the spirituality, right? Okay, so all of these things work in us because these two factors work together. But I want to move a little bit more. Okay, about the gunas we've talked about, and the 5 elements. So these 5 elements are the things that gave rise to everything else. So the 5, now I know in science, of course, and I studied like everyone, oh, there are 92 or more elements in this world. How can you say there's only 5? You have to imagine that these 5 gave rise to the other elements. These 5 gave rise to everything. So it also gave rise to the elements that we can have access to in the earth, whether it's carbon or it's nitrogen or whatever it is. So I'm saying here, each of these is produced due to a different proportion of the varying combinations that exist when there is the combining of all the 5 elements. It produces everything. So that means hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, or whatever it is, each have a quality and a quantity that's unique to itself. Now, here's 3 principles that come up also easily or within it, everything. Suppose you think of it, of the gaseous formations that are also in these elements. These gases are also everywhere. They will contain the gaseous formations of the, let's say, the basic elements in nature will contain more ether and air. The volatile formations in nature of these 92 elements will contain more fire element. And then the dense formations will contain more water and earth. And then earth is an element which consists of actually all the 5 elemental substances. And soil, for instance, has solidity. But because it has solidity, it can hold water. It can be porous. It also has, that's the air, and it has space between the granules. It holds heat, and that's a quality of fire. So in earth itself, it is solidity. It contains everything. How am I doing on time?
You have about 9 more minutes.
Uh-huh. Well, I just have some more examples for ourselves as humans and how things work for us. And well, I have a lot here because you can look at the mind, right? And we call the mind in the Sanskrit the Antakarana. And so maybe I'll bring more in about this. But actually, I want to say again a little bit about the qualities for each guna, because we can look at our psychology this way. We can look at that. I want to take each thing here. So let's just say I'm not going to go more here into what we call science, but let's say in the spirituality, we take all 3 gunas. Which guna do you think is predominant that would make a person have more spirituality, more qualities that consist of sattva, are characterized by intelligibility, pleasantry, attention, concentration, happiness, clarity, light and lightness, and related qualities and virtues. This is the definition for sattva. But there are so many qualities. That's why it can work. You can do this and add your own qualities also. But Rajasic is characterized is it is an active force, and it has a strong influence. So because of its action, and so it includes all types of actions, from slow to high speed. So you also can think of these acting within a little microscopic atom or a molecule. It includes the practice, though, for the human, because this is an activities of pranayama. It continually pulls a negative in a negative way between the heavy and the light, right? Between the sattva and the tamasic, and I don't want to get into. And so many of these things could be talked in other ways. So the tamasic, again, is characterized by density, inertia, lassitude, big mass, indifference, confusion, doubt, oversleeping, addictions, clinging attachments. So depression in the psychological way is overloaded with tamasic. It's tamasic dominant. Now the other two are going to be because they're two, but remember that one guna that dominates and the other two support. So in the psychological states, it can be very meaningful. It also can be give a very big key to, if it's so tamasic, it tells, if you're so sad and you have depression. Depression also comes and goes. It's not up, and nothing is permanent because these three gunas move. But we're just talking about the psychological things. Then you have to do the opposite in order to change out of the depression, right? The opposite means you need to have action. You need to try to look at things in a new way. You need to have more upliftment and want pleasantry and harmony. Playing some beautiful music can actually be a very effective, quick way to change a mood, right? I want to go to what we call the antakarana, which are also aspects of the mind as they work. The constituents of the human mind are said to consist of four aspects: the five senses, which we can also call manas, the intellectual buddhi, and the ego, which is also called ahamkar, and the mind's relationship to the gunas is also called the chitta. So in other words, if the within the structure of the mind, you can see how a person lives and makes choices. Chitta is sometimes a debated thing, what it is, but here I am suggesting, and the scriptures I've studied, that whatever state you are, there is a proportion working in a certain way in the three gunas. But remember, it shifts all the time, maybe just a little tiny bit or maybe a large amount. So it's also moment to moment your relationship to the gunas, meaning at one time you maybe have a very sattvic operating in your mind, in your life. So that is reflected in the gunas to say you are sattva dominant. That is how in other words, the gunas are themselves a larger force, I guess you can say, phenomena, and how we are is simply a combination that can be, you can say, identified. We are more at a time, we are more sattvic, or we are more tamasic, or we are more rajasic. So this identification is a way to see it. The gunas work as a cosmic phenomena pervading every form, characterized by a continual flow of innumerable proportions, and the flow also pervades we humans, whereby our thoughts, our desires, and our intentions are influenced. However, we humans have something that other creatures do not have. We are the last to be created, and we have more of the higher intellectual characteristics that other creatures don't, right? We can create in different ways. We can coordinate with the proportions of flow of the three gunas in a conscious way, in a deliberate way. So, especially when we, do something different, we can see how our will is working, right? Or we have the will to do whatever it is, and we want to do it well. Something there is operative that is volitional, that other animals, other creatures, no other creatures have that. So it is again a proportion in the three gunas that this is working, but it's in us that we have the ability to use the three gunas in a way, you can say, or move the three gunas in a volitional way. Now, suppose before you sleep at night, you decide to awaken at 5 a.m. in the morning. So, as humans, we can do that. And so 5 a.m. is generally considered a more tamasic dominant hour. But you can either fall back to sleep because of your will at this tamasic time, because that would coordinate with what's happening in nature, or you can suggest to yourself, no, you're going to get up anyway, right? So, so with this mind's a suggestion, which the human mind can do, you can more easily get up, and accompanying the act of getting up, the rajasic guna chips away, and you can say, you can use this word, it can be useful, chips away at the tamasic. In fact, our life has to be, it is in many ways, a lot, chipping away at the tamasic, right? Its influence. Simultaneously, the sattva proportion will increase as the tamasic decreases, the sattva increases, right? So rajasic continually moves between the two, and the innumerable proportions change. At the same time, consciousness is illuminating this flow, and so this is also another principle. How does this, I'm not sure I have what to go here, but I guess.
Yeah, Pratibha ji, if you could wrap up in 3-4 minutes.
Sure. So I want to wrap up then in transformation. We are all humans and we want change in our lives. We want transformation. And let's just say, even when we are, as humans, we are younger, we have more activity easily and abilities, and we feel sharper. But because we're humans, we have an ability to, and a will to continually increase the sattva. It has its influence on the other two. It has the influence on the type of activity that you will engage in. Maybe it's the type of food that you will choose. We have that, and the tamasic can be reduced based on the the quality of life, the pleasantry, the harmony, and the ideas that come. If we consciously want to increase, we increase it in by many ways. By, let's just say, somebody was even talking earlier, they want to go and see their child and they feel so good, right? So who we associate, what we associate with, and who doesn't go and see an infant and baby and feel the sattva there, right? So we should remember that we as humans have this and work towards other areas that we've really not talked about, but the transformation and what this means. I think I'm going to leave it there, and I hope I have brought up some interesting points.
Yes, Pratibha ji, thank you so much. You have brought many interesting points, and you've done a masterful job of bridging uh, what physicists look at in terms of what is a particle and what psychologists like you would say mind. How do they interact? What are the connections? So it's been fascinating and very educative. So now we will open it up for questions. So Shamant, if you could put everybody back on the screen, please.
Yes, sir.
So that and when you ask a question, you can either type it in the chat box or raise your hand. And I will then recognize you and you can then speak your question. So questions for Pratibha ji? So while you are kind of framing the question, Pratibha ji, let me ask you one. So as you said, the Purusha and Prakriti are completely separate entities. And if I understood you, the Prakriti, the three gunas, they kind of are eternal. It's only that at some time they were non-interacting. And when consciousness shone on it, it's kind of disturbed the equilibrium, and that's how creation occurred.
Yes.
So how does consciousness work on a material or the gunas?
Yeah. It's actually one thing, it gives life to them. And how is that consciousness is described as one thing alone? It is the principle of illumination. And what does illumination do? Even a light that we see, it gives light, it showers light. But a consciousness showers, I mean, the light is so strong, it is life. It's actually the principle of life as we see life, that it is the ability to do things, to think, to be, to be alive. I can add this point. How does it work within us? Okay. As the consciousness, as it is said, as it shines, its grace shines, however you like to describe the words. This is what it does. It does nothing. It's like the sun, right? It is also said the sun is, describes it as best as it can. But the sun is, okay. So it does nothing but shine. And it shines the same on the grass as it does on someone who's standing there, or a plant, because it shines on that plant grows and or blossoms, or it gets the trees. Now it shines on the person. It brings warmth to the person. It also warms up the mind, so to speak, the thinking, right? Oh wow, it feels nice, and then you get a pleasant thought or an intellectual thought about whatever it is that you're trying to solve or do, or figure out the universe. So, but there's one more principle I want to explain. As it comes into us, its consciousness, and I was using a kind of ordinary word, takes hold of the air that's in us. Okay. So the consciousness moves in us through our system of air. and space, of course, because air is in space. So it too makes use of the elements, right? So this is why regulating your breath is meaningful and helpful. So like I say, in the morning, how does that freshness of the sunlight come to us? It comes to us through the air, and the air is said to be called prana when we know or feel or experience air connected with consciousness becomes prana. So prana is used as a word that has more of the quality of consciousness in it. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Other questions for Pratibha ji?
I
have,
do not have a question, ma'am.
Mhm.
Hello, my name is Mosmi. I'm a data science student at UMass that much only.
Yeah.
Um, Whatever we've covered during the seminar, it seemed like a very beautiful perspective on, I would like to state the first law of thermodynamics, which is energy can never be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another, right? And when we think about life, the purpose of life, death, when we are born, birth, and everything, I think we really do not have a tunnel vision towards life. It very much seems like, the purpose of life, we look out there, we go out in the world looking for love, validation, money, and everything. But I think the universe is out there, but it also lives within us. And the 3 points that I do not, my Sanskrit is very bad, so I'm not gonna try to bring those words back, but about the alignment of all the three senses that we've gotten within us, and also which is out there in the universe, to which all the elements were created. I think the perfect alignment of that will um, help us get enlightened about everything that we do not know and we already know, like on just deeper and next level. That's
So,
about
Mosumi,
it.
what was your question? Sorry.
Oh, it was just, I was just
Oh,
addressing the seminar.
okay.
That's
That's
it.
fine.
No,
That's
no
perfectly
question.
fine. All right.
No, I
Balram
think
ji, please go ahead.
I have a different perspective.
mhm.
Of course.
Pratibha ji, you said that, think of something, then nothing, there was nothing at one time,
Mhm.
right?
Right. There was
Did I?
no Earth. Right. There was no Earth. There were no planets. No, of course we were not here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I wonder, is
Mhm.
this not just a conjecture of people who were not there, but talking about something that was not there, and they're talking about them being here? That's
Could
just a conjecture, right?
could you repeat that?
I said, since you said that there was a time, and you were talking about that time when there was nothing. Maybe gunas came, maybe other kind of elements showed up, but it is us who is talking about. We were not there.
Right.
We were not the witness.
Yeah.
So it may be just a total conjecture.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point, because we are the ones who wrote about it, right?
Yeah.
We're the humans, so we wrote about it. Well, I mean, um, it is. This is true. It's in a way that, let's say, we imagine the first of the planet and the first humans on the planet. They are the ones who uh, first wrote on the rocks and wrote in the sand and all this. They are perceiving this, so they must have been, very close in meditation to be gifted to understand how the universe was working. But I mean, at first there wasn't very much, so it was also, they were still very connected. There were no distractions, right? Um, Very connected to the universe. So yes, it is. We humans, we have to rely on our perceptions of what this whole universe and everything is about. but what's wrong with that?
Well, it's wrong with that. Is just our perspective. We are talking about something that didn't exist, and we are now thinking of our own karmendriyas and gyanendriyas, sense of organs.
Right,
So,
right.
I think energies have always existed, it's just our consciousness that's trying to put sense into it. And we will get there definitely with the researches that we are doing, science and everything. But energy was always there and will always be there. We'll live and we'll die and everything, but we'll
Yeah,
and
get
that's
there,
what
I
Mosumi,
we
think,
say,
as
Mosumi already described herself to
yes,
be
sir.
a scientist, first law of thermodynamics or something.
Oh,
So, what else you expect from her to say?
No, well, yeah, okay. What else can you say? Would you like to present some other perspective of how we know this knowledge?
If you can imagine, or if you can control the dreams, maybe it was all in dream, then you can afford to say that, because just in dream you don't have to stick to it.
Well, dream was probably a part of it also, but we don't only dream.
Well, when
dreams, I think,
we
are a
dream, at least.
part of our subconscious. Whatever goes in our subconscious, that's what we dream about. And apart from the dreams, like the things that we dream about, they always stay back in our subconscious. We never really remember our dreams. But when we wake up, we have this feeling that, okay, and things that live in our subconscious, they sort of create our reality. That's what manifestation is actually, from my perspective, from what I understand, honestly. Because creativity and reality is actually born from imagination. For example, 10, 15 years ago, there was this, not even 10, 15 years ago, it was barely like, not less, within a decade. There's this cyberpunk that we have in our generation. It was just a game that got released and everything. And 6 years later, Elon Musk has this Cybertruck launch that looked exactly like it. And it was born, nobody really thought about it. See, oh my God, somebody would actually put their energy or money or mechanics or try to research about it. It was just like a game that got launched. And then collectively, as human beings, this generation, we actually tried to work towards it, that maybe this is possible. It was not just one person. And when all of those things came together within a few years, we have Cybertruck going around Boston. So there's that.
Well, since you had this thing in science in your topic, and that's why I'm raising question. Science exists only if something changes. There is no science observations of any kind. I mean, in a scientific definition of science is either changes with space and time.
Well, isn't that what we're saying? With
I
all
don't know. You were probably saying that. I'm trying to say that we are trying to explain from science. I'm not defending science. I'm actually criticizing science here, because science has limitations. So just because it is scientific doesn't mean it's true. Because I think Mosimi just telling some of the stuff they believed 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, when we don't believe.
Yes, I just some things that were not in reality, and it was just out there. It was just imagination, and
Yeah.
then eventually it just was brought into reality. That's what, if you go deeper into reading Gita and Mahabharata and everything, they are talking in those in their languages. They're saying that these gods came from stars and everybody. What are really stars? They are planets, right? Aren't they
okay,
planets?
and they are also qualities. That's actually
Yeah.
what's really important about the deities, is that they are qualities. So you want these great qualities that they represent, right? I mean, so you want to worship them. You want to give credit or honor what you love, what you appreciate, what you want to have more in you. So they are useful, but they're not necessary. You don't have to have them. And if man created these, then it's something that humankind, I want to say, wants something they want, right? And so all these descriptions and how the dress and all the flowers and all those things make you feel a certain way, right? So this helps to increase those qualities in you. On the other hand, you might become so you don't need those. So the gods and goddesses, I say, were created by humankind. But if there's one thing to do, you want to do things that make your life nice and feel harmony with other people. You want to feel happy. It's very important to be happy, but there's another quality that has to come into that makes happiness last. You have to have it also with other people. How to do that? You have to be helpful to other people. When do you feel good? When you've had that kind interaction. And actually, I like what Vivekananda supposedly said one time. The giver is the receiver. So the gods and goddesses, I'm saying, nothing, we should think they exist forever they belong to Prakriti, and just as Prakriti dissolves everything also, I mean, it's not so, nothing, all those gods and goddesses will also dissolve. They are not existent beyond Prakriti. And they are not in consciousness, because nothing is in consciousness. Only thing that's in consciousness is the quality of illumination. But we want this illumination, right? You feel, in a way, grace. I mean, that's one word for it. You know how you feel better when you do this, when you do that, when you have that kind of interaction, when you pray, when you sit quiet, you meditate, when you do pranayama, and when you do the qualities that are sattvic.
Thank you, Pratibha ji. There is a question from Dr. Jayanti Sahu, who is a professor of philosophy from India. And she says, thank you so much for your insightful presentation. Could you please analyze the role of the mind in the functioning of the gunas?
Yeah, I think everything came from the very beginnings when the earth was new. You can imagine when the human was the last entity upon earth, right? They were, by their nature, a certain way. And many were, I can't say many, but there certainly were, close to enlightenment. They were very sattvic, is what I'm trying to say. They were the sattvic persons who came on the earth, meditated. They could meditate deeply to access the laws of nature, and beyond that, the consciousness. There was no publication then, but they wanted to record, or they discussed with each other. They wrote it on the rocks and all that. People, not other creatures, humans, want to know more, right? I don't think any of the animals wonder about anything except the qualities that are in them, that they crawl, they eat, they do all that, but they don't discuss about life. Only the human does that. So it was a natural thing that happened. I'm not sure I addressed your question.
All right, let's see, Pratibha ji, if others have questions. Yes, Dr. Pappu, please unmute yourself.
We can't hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
You seem to be basing your paper on the Sankhyakarika, on the Sankhya system. In the Sankhya system, the Purusha and Prakriti are totally different.
Yeah.
Purusha is pure spirit. Purusha is not mind. Mind is a matter. No? Okay, let me finish that one. So that what you call matter evolves in the Sankhya system, just being attracted to the Purusha. the analogy that is given is like a dancing girl, you know.
Yeah, you can make
Yeah.
that.
So Prakriti evolves just like a beautiful woman. When she sees something else, you know, some beautiful guy, she starts dancing. Likewise, the whole evolution starts in Prakriti as a kind of a, in other words, it is not initiated by the Purusha. Purusha doesn't do anything. It is the Prakriti who, it is manifested, you know, in the course of evolution.
Yeah.
And one of the things which you have to remember is what we call manas or mind. Mind in the Sankhya system is a matter. It is not spirit.
No.
Spirit is totally different from mind in the Sankhya system.
Yes.
Okay. That's why we always say these days, do computers think? Sure. Because computers belong to the thinking is a part of a matter, not that of a spirit, you know.
Right.
Yeah. With the result, actually, everything has got the three gunas, you know, sattva, rajas, and tamas.
Mhm.
Okay. No, there is no matter which doesn't contain a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So the what we have to do is
Mhm.
to get rid of all the tamas and rajas and all that, and attain pure sattva. When you
Yeah.
attain pure sattva, actually you don't be you don't be spirit like,
Yeah,
not
you're
even.
more
Yeah.
yeah.
Then actually you transcend the materiality and become the Purusha, absorb yourself in the Purusha itself, you know.
Mm. Yeah, that's true.
So that the purpose of this evolution, why the evolution? It is purposeless.
Yeah.
Why does matter evolve into all these categories, you know?
Mm.
There is no purpose. It is just, yeah, it is not purposive, but it is just a matter of
But you want to.
our mind is a matter of why does the mind do anything? Well, because it has to, that is its activity. Mind always does it not to achieve any purpose, so to say. Even if you have a purpose, it is still belongs to a material world, not the spiritual one. The spirit
Exactly.
is pure consciousness, doesn't act, doesn't do anything. It's there. So that to trans, and also another thing we have to remember is your Sankhya system is atheistic. It doesn't believe in a God.
Exactly.
Purusha itself is the ultimate reality, right? So, and if
No.
matter kind of evolves, rather
Yeah. Mhm.
being attracted to the Purusha, but not for a purpose. So that's why.
Well, there is a purpose to some degree, because the purpose that people seek this transformation of refining or moving from the tamasic to the sattva.
Yeah. That is all a matter of mind, you know. Mind
Well,
that.
no. It has a purpose in it because you want more happiness in your life. So therefore you seek the sattva. You will not have the happiness when you're stuck strong there in the tamasic.
All those things are okay, but once you once you become a Purusha, none of these things matter. Sure.
Well, you don't
So long as we are caught in the evolutionary circle.
you don't really become Purusha, because there in Purusha, so to speak, there is no materiality. So
Yeah.
the antakarana and everything is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good point, you know. I mean, that is what people almost, then people start thinking of, there are many dimensions we could talk about, you know, here in the heaven and all that stuff. That's nothing. There is nothing in consciousness. The only thing that consciousness is, like as mentioned before, it is the principle of illumination. So it, without the consciousness, without the principle of illumination, even without, you can say closest we know is the sun, there is darkness. So there is nothing that can be transformed or anything without the consciousness. That's why people meditate, they increase their consciousness. The consciousness is also said that the deepest of the sattva is the closest you can get to the consciousness. That's why when a person wants the liberation, right? But first you love the happiness you receive by having more of the sattva, and the consciousness is shining to increase this. You know, it's like that. But that's, it's a very important point, because in this day and age, all these things are questioned. Why do pranayama? Why meditate? What is this all about? It really has some, things to think about why you should do this. And if you don't do it, you get into, then does reincarnation take place? And how does this happen and all that, right? And how many years have we been here? And how many times has there been births? All this is very significant, because now the earth is deteriorating, right? And we all know that, climate and all that. So how long is it going to last? Well, we can't answer many of these things, but we can see when the water is dirty and you can't get it clean, and all the things that are happening. And people have to start to be more intelligent about, don't have so much plastic, quit it, we don't need it. And we shouldn't have it. They're even finding plastic in the blood now, right?
The purpose of yoga, all those activities which we do is ultimately to maintain the equilibrium between sattva, rajas, and guna.
No, it's not to make
everything has all the qualities.
No.
Everything has all the qualities. So how much you can become there's nothing like a pure sattva. Even in the purest sattva, you can think about there is a bit of tamas, and the tamas means action. But I don't know.
Hey, wait a minute. Yes, there is, because it still has a formation that you can identify. Because remember, the tamasic is form and stability, right? So when all of that is gone, but first of all, let's go into the consciousness is said to...
Pratibha, very quickly, because we have run out of time. So if you could answer quickly.
I'm going to say, does this consciousness exist in us in any form? Yes, it is said to be, a drop of it always exists behind the heart.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, Pratibha, the last question is from Professor Satya Paraitam, who is a professor of business, Charlton College of Business on our campus.
Great.
So his question, and I'm rephrasing it, is how can we be sure that we are the latest product of evolution? What is to say that other more evolved entities will not come in the future?
Okay, so let's imagine, what are these other more evolved? What would they be like? I think we would have to discuss that. I mean, what does he have in mind? What to his view would be more evolved?
No, madam, actually, after going through your discussion, I want to have 1 hour conversation with you.
Yeah, we should keep going. This is a big
1 minute, because there are certain things which are highly controversial, and which you do not have any backing. For example, satisfaction.
Yeah.
Satisfaction is our happiness, relative concept.
Right.
I see, all right. It's not necessary that only having sattva guna will be happy. People have rajas guna also may be happy. It depends on the person.
Right.
It is purely depending on the person.
Okay, I want to say this point.
Yeah.
Is that, remember, the three always work together. So due to the activity, the point, or the what should I say, the amount of sattva that's there is what gives the pleasure.
How can we say so? I don't think so.
Okay, you just
People,
think about it. Say, make some other proposal. What do you think?
no, just 1 second. People who follow Rajas Guna throughout, how can we say that they will not be happy?
I don't say that. I don't say that because it depends on what you're doing.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
You are
We
helping
cannot,
people,
we
and this
cannot
is
conclude.
activity
No, we
will bring
cannot
people happiness.
we cannot conclusively say that people
Definitely.
transforming from Rajas to Tamas to Rajas, Rajas to Sattva will be more happy.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Well,
no,
they are always together in a proportion.
no. I don't think so because it is subjective. It depends on the individual. The
Well,
people who are
there's
taking
always a
along,
dominance, so you don't recognize the other two.
no, we recognize, but happiness is something different.
What is it?
That's what I'm saying.
What is it?
Anyway, maybe
We
we will
can,
need
it's okay, madam. It's a
we will
wonderful
need
presentation.
We could
a
go on
debate
and
on
on.
this in
I mean,
a
it's good to
future.
do it. I think it's good to do
It is an eye opener. It's very good presentation. You
Okay.
presented all these, collected these gunas to the cosmological, intellectual revolution.
I think
You combined
so
them.
Kalyanji, you can make
Yeah.
Satya as a host.
Yes,
and we all
yes.
can go and then can so
Yeah.
Pratibha ji can have discussion. But my parting thought is that there are people who are very tamasic and they have a couple of drinks and then they're very happy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For how long?
Doesn't matter
Well,
how, as long
as
as
they can
Yeah.
get some drinks, that they will be
That's
happy.
it.
That's why we have
The
happy
river
hour.
falls apart.
Right? Happy hour.
Happy hours.
Right?
And the rest are in hell.
Oh well, all
Yeah.
good things have to come to an end.
Yeah.
So I thank you again so much for this very enjoyable and informative seminar. Our
Yeah.
next seminar will be on December 9th. And the speaker is Dr. Sri Giriraju. Very interesting background. He has a PhD in mathematics, and he worked as a mathematician for some time, and then he kind of abandoned all that and he went with the Chinmaya mission, and he has now become a big scholar in Vedanta. So he and I have been discussing the title. As of now, the title is Vedanta Looks at Science, Religion, Conflict. So kind of an extension of our today's seminar in some sense.
Yeah.
So please put it on your calendar, 9th December, Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 p.m. in IST. So with that, let me thank you again. And as I said, this is being recorded and we will put the recording on YouTube in a couple of days.
Oh, okay.
Thank you and namaste.
For having these programs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we can say goodbye.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hi, sir.